Football from Yard, the People's Channel.
Cross, Robbie, oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. One absent without leave, this is Whitmore. Hall and Gale both available, it's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.
Blessings football from Yard Massive. The Reggae Boyz World Cup qualifying campaign has now officially gone over the cliff with a 1-0 loss to Costa Rica inside the National Stadium. Despite having most of the possession and saving a penalty during the game, Jamaica was unable to come away with any points. This 3-game qualification window is the first window that the team has failed to secure any points from their series of games, and with that went any mathematical chance of going to Qatar. Costa Rica's strategy was clear from the outset. They were going to park the bus and occasionally launch an attack through the likes of Joel Campbell. While we had an abundance of possession in the first half, the high quality chances didn't really follow. The Reggae Boyz either lacked sharpness in and around the 18-yard box, or veteran Costa Rican goalkeeper Keylor Navas showed up to put an end to proceedings. Jamaica gave away a penalty early in the second half, which Andre Blake saved just as he did in Panama. Unfortunately, the defense seemed to still be in a daze from Blake's save, and the Costa Ricans were able to find the back of the net shortly after. A series of substitutions were made in the second half, but by the time the final whistle arrived, the team looked a little disjointed as a combination of changes and fatigue from some of the starters removed the venom from the attack. Coach Paul Hall went with a change of approach for this game, departing from the 4-3-3 formation that he used in the last two qualifiers. Andre Blake, as usual, was in goal. Adrian Mariappa was a sweeper in a 3 central defender setup, with Brentford defender Ethan Pinnock to his left and 20-year-old Cavalier defender Richard King to his right. Greg Lay received his first start of the campaign as the overlapping left wing-back, while Javane Brown retained his place on the right side. In the midfield, Ravel Morrison and Devon Speedy Williams started again, and Bobby Reid, who had primarily been playing on the right flank during the campaign, reverted to a central midfield role. Up front, Andre Gray got his first start of the campaign and was partnered by West Ham striker Michail Antonio. Andre Blake had his second consecutive game with a penalty save. Unfortunately, the team seemed to still be in awe of his save as they let Joel Campbell slice through the defense and put the ball into the back of Blake's net. Unlike recent games, Blake wasn't under constant pressure, and apart from the goal, he was able to stop any danger near his box. Blake's distribution was far superior to most of his recent showings. He gets a score of 8. With Costa Rica's conservative approach to the game, it was a slow day in the office for Adrian Mariappa. The few times he was challenged by the Costa Rican attackers, he was generally equal to the task. The veteran was solid in possession as he started a number of the attacks. He gets a score of 7. Ethan Pinnock was solid for the majority of the game and largely kept the Costa Rican attackers in check. There were a couple moments where Joel Campbell was able to get some separation. Unfortunately, one of those was on the Costa Rican goal. In possession, Pinnock combined very well with Greg Lay on the left side, and on a few occasions was able to get himself into dangerous attacking positions. He gets a score of 7. Coach Paul Hall was very pleased with the performance of young Richard King, and King should be pleased with his performance as well. He seems to have the raw material required to contribute to the national team going forward. He's very composed in possession and shut down a number of attacks. We'll have to see how he does against opposition that high presses Jamaica, but at the moment, he appears to be one for the future. He gets a score of 8. Greg Lay moved up and down the flank, pushing forward repeatedly to join the attack. He created numerous dangerous moments in the opposition final third. However, in the second half, it looked as if Lay was running out of gas and wasn't as effective as in the first. Lay seemed to be a bit distracted on the goal, as he may not have refocused after celebrating Andre Blake's penalty save. He gets a score of 6. Like Greg Lay, Javane Brown was pushing up the flank aggressively. In the first half, Brown and Richard King marshalled the right side well. In the second half, however, Brown ran out of gas and his performance dropped. His tackling and passing was not as sharp, and he struggled to press the Costa Ricans. Brown is clearly one of our good young footballers and will be an integral part of the team going forward. He gets a score of 6. Devon Speedy Williams had a typical performance. He partnered well with Ravel Morrison both on the defensive end and in possession. Although this game did see him taking a shot on goal, he could have been a bit more direct with his play and quicker in transition. The team's level definitely dropped a notch when Williams was substituted. He gets a 6. Ravel Morrison had his best game of the qualifiers by a mile. Morrison was the glue connecting the midfield as he started the attacks from a deep roll. Morrison read the game very well on the defensive end and made a number of good interceptions. He also had a very good free kick on goal that was saved by Costa Rican keeper Keylor Navas. Morrison's transition could be a bit quicker, but overall he should be proud of his contribution on the night. He gets a score of 7. Bobby Reid looked far more comfortable in the central attacking midfield role than he's looked on the wing thus far in qualifiers. Reid continues to appear a bit timid at times, but overall was very accurate with the majority of his passes. On the defensive side, he provided good support in the middle of the park. He gets a score of 6. Andre Gray made a number of good runs during the game, but when he got into dangerous positions, the final pass or finish appeared to lack quality. He ran the channels very well in the first half, but began to fade in the second half as he fatigued. He gets a score of 6. Gray's strike partner, Michael Antonio, also had a rough day at the office. The Costa Rican defense gave him a physical greeting to start the game. He had a number of moments where he got into dangerous positions, but his final touch let him down. Antonio didn't seem particularly comfortable on the National Stadium surface. He gets a score of 5. Kevin Stewart entered the game early in the second half for Devon Williams. Stewart looked a step off the pace, as you would expect from a player who has rarely played any club football for the past year. Stewart's foul in the box and a sloppy play led to a Costa Rican penalty. In possession, Stewart is very accurate with his passes and tends to be more forward-looking than most of his counterparts. He gets a score of 5. Javon East entered the game at the same time as Stewart and really had a minimal impact on the game. Like the other forwards, he struggled once he got close to the 18-yard box. He was unable to convert any of the build-ups into meaningful attacks on goal. He gets a score of 5. Lamar Walker entered the game in the second half and was aggressively pursuing the football. He did have a couple sloppy plays, but he also displays a level of composure and confidence in the opponent's half that a lot of other players tend not to display. The youngster clearly has a lot of talent and will likely be an important part of the squad going forward. He gets a score of 6. Peter Lee Vassell had a few decent touches when he entered the fray, but he didn't really stamp his authority on the game. Vassell's talent is evident, but he will need to focus on improving his movement off the ball if he plans to realize his potential. He gets a score of 5. In his post-game comments, Coach Paul Hall said he told the team that they need to ask themselves the question if they were good enough during the qualifiers. Whether it was solely because of the players, or also because of the coach, whether current or prior, or the JFF administration, or a combination of all those entities. The reality is the approach to qualifiers was substandard, and it can't be said that any of those parties involved did their best during the campaign. A lot will need to change going forward, and it likely requires a change in leadership at the JFF and a new vision for football in the country. We will have to see if any of the required changes come to fruition. Blessed for listening once more. Another campaign is in the books, and unfortunately, as far as the World Cup is concerned, the Reggae Boys will have to watch the football from yard.
Cross, Robbie! Oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. An absent without leave. This is Whitmore. Hall and Gale both available. It's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.